Verse for opening a sutra. The unsurpassed, profound, and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of aeons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning. Chapter 2. Expedient Devices. At that time, the world-honored one, wishing to restate his meaning, spoke verses saying, "Those bhikshus and bhikshunis who harbor overweening pride, the arrogant upasakas who do not believe in the fourfold host, such ones as these, numbering 5,000 strong, who do not see their own mistakes, deficient in morality, and guarding imperfections, those of paltry wisdom have left. The chaff within the multitude is gone. Thanks to the Buddha's awesome virtue, these people, lacking blessings and virtue, are unworthy of receiving this Dharma. The assembly is free of branches and leaves. The trunks alone remain intact. Shariputra, listen well. The Dharma obtained by the Buddhas is spoken for living beings. Through the power of limitless experience, the thoughts in living beings' minds, the various pathways they have walked, the nature of their various desires, the karma, good or ill from former lives, the Buddha knows them all thoroughly. Using conditions, analogies, expressions, and powerful expedients, I cause them to rejoice. I may speak the sutras, gathas, or past events of former lives, the unprecedented causes and conditions, analogies, or gayas, or upadesha texts. To the dull-rooted ones who delight in lesser dharmas, and who are greedily attached to birth and death, who under limitless Buddhas have not walked the deep and wondrous path, oppressed by scores of sufferings, for them I speak of nirvana. I've established these expedients to cause them to enter the Buddha's wisdom. Never did I say, all of you will realize the Buddha way. I did not say as much because the time to speak had not yet come. The time now is exactly right to speak the great vehicle. The 9 divisions of my Dharma are spoken to accord with living beings, intending to lead them into the great vehicle. I, therefore, speak this sutra text for the Buddha's disciples, pure in heart, who are compliant and have keen faculties, who under countless Buddhas have walked the deep and wondrous path. I speak the sutra of the great vehicle. I predict that such people, in the future, will realize the Buddha way, for with profound thoughts they recollect the Buddha, cultivate and uphold pure morality. When they hear that they will become Buddhas, great will their rejoicing be. The Buddha knows their thoughts and conduct and speaks the great vehicle for them. If hearers or bodhisattvas hear this Dharma that I speak, be it but a single verse, they will become Buddhas without a doubt. In the Buddha lands of the 10 directions, there is only the Dharma of one vehicle. There are not 2 or 3, except those spoken by the Buddhas as expedients, and those are but false appellations, used to induce living beings, so that he may teach them the Buddha's wisdom. The Buddhas appear in the world only for the sake of this one real matter. The other 2 are not the truth. To the end, they will not use the small vehicle to rescue living beings. The Buddha himself dwells in the great vehicle, and in accord with the dharmas he has gained, adorned with the power of samadhi and wisdom, he uses this to save living beings. Having certified to the supreme path myself, the great vehicle's dharma of equality, were I to teach by means of the small vehicle, even the single human being, I would have fallen into stingy greed. But such a thing could never be. Should people rely in faith upon the Buddha, the thus come one will not deceive them. He has no thoughts of envy or greed, and he has cut off all the evil in the Dharmas. Therefore, throughout the 10 directions, the Buddha alone has nothing to fear. My body adorned with marks, I brilliantly illumine the world. Revered by countless multitudes, I speak the seal of the real mark. Shariputra, you should know that in the past I took a vow, wishing to lead the multitudes to be identical with me. That vow, made long ago, now has been perfectly fulfilled, for I have transformed all beings, leading them into the Buddha path. If when I met with living beings, I taught them just the Buddha path, those lacking wisdom would be puzzled, confused, they would not accept the teaching. I know that these living beings have never cultivated good roots. They are firmly attached to the 5 desires, and out of stupidity and love become afflicted. Because of all their desires, they fall into the 3 evil paths. They turn on the wheel in the 6 destinies, suffering, utter misery. They take a tiny form in the womb. Life after life, it continues to grow. With scanty virtue and few blessings, they are oppressed by scores of sufferings. They enter the dense forest of deviant views, those of existence, non-existence, and the like. They become dependent on these views, 62 of them in all, deeply attached to illusory dharmas. They cling to them firmly and cannot let them go. Arrogant, they brat of their loftiness. They are flatterers, their hearts insincere. Throughout 10 billion aeons, they never hear the Buddha's name, nor do they hear the proper Dharma. Such people are difficult to save. Therefore, Shariputra, I set forth expedients for them, speak of the way to suffering's end, and demonstrate nirvana. Although I speak of nirvana, it is not through extinction. All dharmas from their origin are ever marked by still extinction. When the Buddha's disciples have walked the path, in the future age they will become Buddhas. I possess the power of expedience and demonstrate the Dharma of 3 vehicles. All the world on at once speak the Dharma of 1 vehicle. Now all of you assembled here should cast your doubts aside. The speech of all Buddhas is the same. There is only 1 vehicle, not 2. Throughout countless aeons in the past, innumerable extinct Buddhas, hundreds of thousands of myriads of millions of them, a number beyond all calculation, will on at once such as these, use various conditions, analogies, and the power of countless expedients to proclaim the marks of all dharmas. All of those whirl on at once, spoke the Dharma of 1 vehicle, transforming beings without limit, leading them to the Buddha path. Further, all greatly sagely lords know the deep desires in the hearts of all the gods, humans, and other beings within all the worlds, using different expedients which help to reveal the foremost principle. If there are living beings who have met with Buddhas in the past, heard the Dharma, practiced giving, morality, patience and vigor, dhyana samadhi, wisdom, and so on, cultivating blessings and wisdom, persons such as these have all realized the Buddha path. When those Buddhas have become extinct, if they are those with compliant hearts, beings such as these have attained the Buddha way. After the extinction of all those Buddhas, those who have made offerings to the shariras, building millions of kinds of stupas made of gold, silver, or of crystal, mother of pearl, carnelian, rose quartz, lapis lazuli, and other gems, clear, pure, and most honored, worked to grace the stupas? Or should there be those who have built temples out of stone, chandana, or aloes wood, whole veneer, or other timbers, bricks, clay, and the like? Or for those who, in the barren waste, have piled up earth into a Buddha shrine, or even children who, at play, have piled up sand to build a stupa? All persons such as these have realized the Buddha way. Those who, for the Buddhists, have erected images, carving all their myriads of marks, have realized the Buddha way. They may have used the 7 gems, or bronze, or copper, white or red, wax, lead, or tin, iron, wood, or clay, or perhaps lacquered cloth in making Buddha images. Persons such as these have realized the Buddha way. Those who painted bright Buddha images, adorned with the marks of their hundreds of blessings, whether they did it themselves or employed others, have realized the Buddha way. Even children who, at play, who with a straw, a stick, or pen, or even with their fingernails drew images of the Buddha, people such as these gradually accumulated merit and virtue, perfected the heart of great compassion, and have realized the Buddha way. They teach only bodhisattvas and rescue countless multitudes. Should persons in stupas or in temples make offerings with a reverent heart to jeweled or painted images with flowers, incense, banners, or canopies, or should they cause others to make music with drums, horns, and conches, panpipes, flutes, lutes, or bamboo lyres, guitars, cymbals, or brass gongs, with many wondrous sounds as these, played solely as offerings, or if with happy hearts with songs and chants they praise the Buddha's virtues, with even just one small sound, they have realized the Buddha way. If people with scattered minds have given but a single flower as an offering to a painted image, they shall gradually see numberless Buddhas. If they bowed in worship, or merely placed their palms together, or even raised a single hand, or give a slight nod of the head as an offering to the images, they shall gradually see countless Buddhas and have themselves realized the Buddha way. They will rescue countless multitudes and enter nirvana without residue, as a fire goes out when the fuel has been consumed. If people with scattered minds enter stupas or temples and say but once, Namo Buddha, they have realized the Buddha way. Be it from Buddhists of the past, while existent or after their extinction, those who have heard this Dharma have realized the Buddha way. The world-honored ones of the future are limitless in number. All of these thus come once will also speak the Dharma of expedient devices. All of the thus come once, by means of limitless expedients, help all living beings to enter Buddha's non-outflow wisdom. Of those who have heard the Dharma, none will fail to become Buddhas. All the Buddhas have made this vow. As to the Buddha way which I have walked, I wish to lead all living beings alike to obtain this path. And although the Buddhas of the future will speak 100,000 million countless Dharma doors, they are, in fact, for the sake of one vehicle. All Buddhas, doubly perfect honored ones, know the Dharmas are eternally without a nature. The Buddha's seed arises from conditions, thus they speak of the one vehicle. This Dharma abides in the Dharma's position, dwelling forever in worldly marks. Having understood this in the Bodhimanda, the guiding master teaches it expediently. Those who receive the offerings of gods and humans, the Buddhas of the present in the 10 directions, their number like the Ganges sands, manifest within the world to bring peace and comfort to living beings, and also speak Dharma such as these. Knowing the foremost still extinction, they use the power of expedience to demonstrate the various paths in reality for the sake of the Buddha vehicle. Knowing the conduct of living beings, the thoughts deep within their minds, their habitual actions in the past, the nature of their desire, the power of their vigor, and their faculties keen or dull, they employ various causes and conditions, analogies and verbal expressions to teach them the appropriate expedients. Now I, too, am like them. Using various Dharma doors, I proclaim the Buddha way to bring peace and comfort to living beings. I use the power of my wisdom to know the natures of beings' desires. I speak all Dharmas expediently to lead them all to happiness. Shariputra, you should know, as I regard them with my Buddha eye, I see living beings in the 6 paths, impoverished, lacking blessings and wisdom, entering the dangerous path of birth and death, where they suffer unremittingly. They are deeply attached to the 5 desires, like a yak caring for its tail. They smother themselves with greed and love, blind and in darkness, seeing nothing. They do not seek the mighty Buddha or the Dharma which cuts off suffering, but instead they deeply enter into deviant views. With suffering, they wish to cast off suffering. For the sake of these beings, I give rise to the great compassionate heart. When first I sat in the Bodhimanda, in contemplation or walking about the tree, for a full 3 times 7 days, I thought over matters such as these. The wisdom which I have obtained is subtle, wonderful, and foremost. But living beings are dull-rooted, attached to pleasure, blinded by delusion. Beings such as these, how can they possibly be saved? Just then the Brahma heaven kings, as well as the god Chakra, the 4 world-protecting god kings, the god of the heaven of great comfort, and the other heavenly multitudes, with retinues numbering in the billions, reverently placed their palms together and requested me to turn the Dharma wheel. I then thought to myself, were I to praise only the Buddha vehicle, being sunk in suffering, would be unable to believe this Dharma. They would slander it out of disbelief and fall into the 3 evil paths. It is better that I do not speak the Dharma, but quickly enter into nirvana. Then I recall that the Buddhas of the past practiced powerful expedients, and as I now have obtained the path, it is fitting that I also teach 3 vehicles. When I had been thinking thus, the Buddhas of the 10 directions all appeared, and with the Brahma sound encouraged me, saying, Good indeed, O Shakyamuni, foremost guiding master. Having attained the supreme Dharma, you follow the precedent of all Buddhas to employ the power of expedient devices. We have all obtained as well that foremost Dharma, most wonderful, for the various kinds of living beings. We discriminate and teach 3 vehicles. Those of little wisdom who delight in lesser dharmas would not believe that they could become Buddhas. That is why we use expedient means to discriminate and teach the various fruits. Although 3 vehicles are taught, it is only for the sake of teaching bodhisattvas. Shariputra, you should know that when I heard the sagely lion's deep, pure, and wondrous sound, I called out, homage to all Buddhas, and further had this thought, I have come into a turbid evil world. As the Buddhas speak, I should follow in accord. Having thought upon this matter, I went straightway to Varanasi, since the still and extinct mark of all dharmas cannot be expressed in words. I used the power of expedience to instruct the 5 bhikshus. This was called the turning of the Dharma wheel. Then came the sound of nirvana, as well as arhatship, Dharma, and the Sangha, various names from remote aeons onward. I've praised and shown nirvana's Dharma as the final end of birth and death suffering. Always have I spoken thus. Shariputra, you should know, I see disciples of the Buddha resolutely seeking the Buddha way, limitless thousands of myriads of millions of them, all with hearts of reverence, all coming before the Buddha. They had heard from former Buddhas expedient teachings of the Dharma. This causes me to think the reason why the thus come one appears is to teach the wisdom of the Buddha, and now the time is exactly right. Shariputra, you should know, those with dull faculties and slight wisdom, those attached to marks, the arrogant, cannot believe this Dharma. I now rejoice and have no fear, and among the bodhisattvas I shall cast expedience aside and be straightforward, speaking only of the supreme path. When the bodhisattvas have heard this Dharma, the network of their doubts will be rent. 1,200 arhats will all attain to Buddhahood. As the Buddhas of the 3 periods of time in such a manner spoke the Dharma, so do I likewise now expound the undiscriminated Dharma. All Buddhas come into the world, but rarely and are hard to meet. And when they appear in the world, it is hard for them to speak the Dharma. Throughout countless aeons too, it is difficult to hear this Dharma. And those who can hear this Dharma, such people too are rare, like the Udambara flower, in which all take delight, which the gods and humans prize, for it blooms but once in a long, long time. So one who hears this Dharma gives joyful praise, with even just a single word, has thereby made offerings to all the Buddhas of the 3 periods of time. Such people are extremely rare, rarer than the Udambara flower. All of you should have no doubts, for I am the Dharma King. I declare to the assembly, I use only the path of one vehicle to teach and transform bodhisattvas. There are no hero disciples. Shariputra, all of you, the hearers and bodhisattvas, should know that this wondrous Dharma is the secret essence of all Buddhas. In the evil world of 5 turbiddities, beings who are blissfully attached to pleasures and desires will never seek the Buddha way. Evil people of the future, hearing the Buddha speak of one vehicle, in their delusion will not accept or believe it, but will slander it and fall into the evil paths. Still those with shame and purity, who resolutely seek the Buddha way, for such ones as these I praise, the path of one vehicle extensively. Shariputra, you should know the Dharma of all Buddhas is like this. By means of millions of expedients, I speak Dharma in accord with what is appropriate, but those who do not study it will never come to understand it. Since all of you already know, all Buddhas, masters of the world, work by means of appropriate expedients, you should have no further doubts. Let your hearts be filled with joy. You know you will reach Buddhahood.